If your definition of true Christian is someone who is actually saved and redeemed by a risen Christ, then I fully admit that I was not a true Christian. G-Man, 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 G-Man. To read your Bible and do what it says.
You want to have a rap battle? I'll stand in for Paul.
Yeah, dude. I choose my champion to be Billy the Fridge.
Him? I'll crush him.
Dude.
No, all right, here we go. Hey, yo. G-Man said that Jesus is his boss. Your thesis is a loss. You suck a fucking dick. God can toss my fucking salad. Your argument invalid. I'll get a ballot and vote for fucking Satan, cause I'm hating. I like Xenu.
Okay, so
and
set
I
it
see
up.
what you
Set it up.
do
Next week.
when you
Next
eat doo-doo.
week,
You eat the poo-poo? You eat the doo-doo?
Ladies and gentlemen, we invite your apprehensive listeners.
The name is G-Man, not Milli Vanilli, and I'ma take a minute, throw shade at Billy. You say you're a pro, but you're really hot trash. G-Man's too sweet, like I'm hauling Nash. Billy the Hut, you can't touch my flow. Cock it back.
Headshot.
Now you can call me Paul's ego.
You're a boring MC, dude. You're killing DPs, dude. Trust me, Billy, nobody really wants to see you. Hey, little Billy, you must be feeling really silly. You tried to beat the underdog, such a pity.
You lack the brains to deal with me.
Professor X in this battle handle minds from the sea. I'm a lyrical giant, flow sicker than bubonic.
You're a small fry little brain still hooked on phonics.
So run away, Billy, from the big bad wolf. Can't take the heat, get out the kitchen.
Little Billy's getting cooked.
Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen.
Funeral time.
Let's pay our respects.
Billy's underground because Billy got wrecked. Such a waste of fame, a giant waste of skill. He tried to be the best, but he couldn't fit the bill.
He really wasn't bright. He had a hit once or twice.
He dwindled and he dwindled till he lost all of his light. He kept up his persona that he didn't really care.
Cakes, wake, and bakes, boy, his life was in despair.
Wore a dress for Halloween. As a woman, he was basic. That's not more embarrassing than running around naked.
He rejected God, and that's why he fell. His gluttonous soul is burning in hell.
I pray for all the atheists, be saved from your sins. It's not too late, just repent. God will always let you in. Don't follow Billy's path, don't run away from Christ. Just read your Bible, yo, it grants eternal life.
Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen.
I'm just gonna speak up on what y'all don't know, but in regards to my wife, she is probably, if not the smartest, one of the smartest people that I know.
Is the origin of feces. You're just as brain dead as your boyfriend Nietzsche. The descent of man has been foretold as pseudo-crack science and comedy gold. With my Christian sword, I'm giving you scars by crushing your pride by dropping sick bars. With the power of God and the King of the Jews, I'm the natural selection to school this fool. I heard Miss Parker was giving out freebies. Her man found out I'm the dominant species. So choke on the truth and don't act surprised when Christians praise Jesus cause he's still alive. I will confess that your husband was wrong. You wear the pants and he wears the thongs. Your face, Miss Parker, you act like a pig. You smell like fish team with a wig. conquered the grave. Parker, when you die, you better be saved. You are the joke, and you're not real funny. Your body is cheap or hardly any money. Do you even cook or mop the floors? You weak little lady, I'll expose your flaws. You follow men's orders like a dumb little slave. I can be real petty and pee on your grave with your manly face and your low IQ. Quit being a failure, cause I own you. That's right, chicken head, I don't want no pissing. You worship the devil cause that's your religion. You're addicted to me, and you ain't got no life. Try all you want, you'll never be my wife. I'm a little bit hungry, go get me a tab. And when you serve me dinner, I'll pass on your crab.
Flawless victory.
It's an unfortunate situation.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sowing and Reaping YouTube channel. Today we're going to be doing the Christian worldview versus the pagan worldview. Hello, everyone. My name is G-Man, and I have a guest here today named Mystic Rambling. And what we're going to do here today, ladies and gents, because Von Helton, he may pop in here, he may not, although I doubt it. Because I don't think he has any internet. We're going to just be having a discussion about our worldviews, defining our terms, as well as just and maybe a little bit of debating toward the end. And this may be something I do on a regular basis, as I believe atheism's kind of played out, and we don't need to talk about that all the time. I think it'd be a good idea to talk to different belief systems and try to learn a thing or two from each other and find out what our disagreements are, and try to find out who's got truth and who does not. I invited Mystic Rambling in here primarily because of his background and because of the background of Von Helton, which I don't know that much about, because every pagan is different. They're not all the same, and that's why I'm looking forward to having this conversation. Now I'm going to address this live chat once while we're talking, and then it's just going to be a conversation between Mystic Rambling and I before we even think about answering any questions in the live chat. I really want to keep this between me and him. Somebody in the live chat mentioned that Mr. Parker would beat me up if he met me in person. This is my answer to you. All right. Let me make sure I can find it here, because I think it's still on here. For the person that believes that Mr. Parker would beat my behind if he met me in person.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. There's no wonder you get D's and everything.
And now that I addressed that foolishness, let's get to the topic at hand. How you doing, Mystic Rambling? Do me a favor, introduce yourself to the audience, to people who may not know who you are, what your belief system is, what your beliefs are, and also let them know how they can find you on YouTube.
Hey, everybody. I am Mystic Ramblings. I've got a YouTube channel here, and it is simply the Mystic Ramblings YouTube channel. I'm the guy with the big blue avatar with the yellow cross and the 4 green circles on it. That's the easiest way to find me. I am a pagan. I suppose that definitionally I would be considered an eclectic pagan. I'm not really big on terms, though. I don't like, putting myself inside of a box. I feel like once you use a term to describe yourself, then you have to take on everything that term ascribes, whether it's, good or bad. And then conversations get muddled where people are saying, oh, well, I don't believe in that one little thing. And, just talk about what you believe in. You don't need to have a label. Personally, I believe that there are a number of different powers in this universe that we live in. You might call them gods. You might call them demons. I don't believe that that's a particularly useful way to, divide things, but it is something that most people understand, so I'm going to go with it. I worship specifically a goddess, Tyche, Greek goddess of luck, also embodied through Fortuna in Rome, and in my personal beliefs has basically survived to this very day, simply known as Lady Luck, which is, of course, a very bastardized version of it, but is still something which is known in modern society. That would be the basics of it. If G-Man has any more questions, and I'm sure there are a lot, like you can't just talk about your belief system in a little blurb. There's so much more that goes into all of this.
True, very true, very true. And like I said, I hope you get something out of this. We both learn something about our positions, and where we're coming from. So that way, if we don't debate today, we can do that next time, knowing where each other is coming from, at least, right? So, or at least, because everything don't got to be about debating, having strong disagreements concerning our worldviews and where we stand on things. So again, I want to let the live chat know I will not be looking at the live chat. I'm going to be paying attention to what Mr. Rambling has to say, and hopefully he'll be listening to what I have to say. And we'll try to do this for about an hour and a half, and see how this goes. All right. If Von Helton comes in, I'll bring him in, and then we can talk about these things. So you said that you are an eclectic pagan, right?
Yeah, definitionally, that is where I would fit most.
Okay, so what's the difference between you and Vaughn? Vaughn says that he has unnamed gods.
Well, see, this is the whole thing with like the eclectic pagan term. Really, what it's saying is that if you're an eclectic pagan, then you're just a person who believes in multiple gods. You have a belief system to yourself, but it's a hodgepodge of things that you've, picked and chosen from. Me personally, I try to use skepticism as much as I can whenever I explore mystic, concepts. I believe that there's an old saying, people who go out looking for ghosts very often find them. Like if you don't apply skepticism to something, then you're just going to believe whatever you want to believe, and everyone is susceptible to that. So
I agree with that.
Like I explore things, I try different magical techniques and mystic techniques that I learn about. I see what works and what doesn't. If something does work, then I try to rationalize like what possibly could be happening here. Is there really a spiritual significance, or could this be explained by something that happens in normal everyday life? Like just going off on a little tangent here, I think that the concept of demonic possession is a good example of that, where I think that there are cases where people are demonically possessed, but it is so few and far between that you're probably just mentally ill, and that you should probably go and see a psychiatrist. Before you go and see a priest, see a psychiatrist first and see if
well, before you get into that too much, I want to ask you something about the skepticism, right? How do you feel about and when you say skepticism, you're talking about practicing the art of questioning what you believe, right? Or questioning what you're being told, right? So what do you think about religious systems that don't practice skepticism?
I think that if your religious system does not practice skepticism, then there's really no way for you to discern whether or not what you're believing, what you're being told is true. I mean, you have to question it at a point. Like if you're told something and you don't stop for at least a moment and say, is this guy lying to me? Maybe I should look into this a little deeper. Then I think you're just being foolish all around.
No, that's something that me and you agree fully on. Leaving 1 John chapter 4 verse 1, it tells us to not believe everybody that comes to us claiming that they're from God. So there is a certain level of skepticism I have when I'm talking to somebody, especially if they tell me they're a Christian for the first time. And now I'm going to be paying attention to what they're saying. I'm going to be watching what they're doing. I'm going to see whether or not they're just looking for people to just believe everything that's coming out of their mouth, or whether or not they're going to search the scriptures to see whether or not something is true or not. So I guess me and you agree on that, in a sense that we have to question things in our belief system, which I also believe that God that Christianity, God encourages us to do that. When he tells us that, to come and reason with him, saith the Lord, though our sins be as crimson, they should be white as wool or whatever. You know what I mean? So you was talking about demonic possession. So you believe in demons as eclectic pagan?
Demons, for lack of a better term, yeah. I mean, I believe that there are evil spirits. I think that this would have been, a situation where, let's say, hypothetically speaking, you and I are back in medieval times, and we only know what we know back then. And we have the concept of a demon, and we have the concept of God. In medieval times, that's basically what it would have broken down to. You have the Jesus God, Jesus Christ, that God, and anyone else would be a demon. So in that sense, I believe that you could be approached by an actual demon who has nefarious plans, and that if it would have been identified at that time, people would have pointed it out and called it a demon. However, alternatively, I believe that you could have also been approached at that time by another spirit that may not have necessarily been evil or nefarious, but whose belief system simply did not line up with Christianity. And that, you know, if you were affected by something else at that time, then you would have also been labeling that a demon. If any kind of evil thing would have gripped you at that time, you would have just called it a demon and, you know, just been okay with it.
So for you, what's the difference between a pagan? I'm sorry, what's the difference between a demon and a god for you? Because for me, when I talk about God, I mean, I think you know this a little bit, that, you know, I'm referring to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but then there are, you know, lower gods that would be people or like rulers or judges or whatever, right? And when we're talking about demons, we're talking about like fallen angels. The Bible describes the devil as being the power of the prince of the air, as being a principality or whatever, or someone who's a ruler. You know what I mean? So, and that's a Christianity, but in paganism, what is at least for you the difference between someone being somebody like Zeus, I suppose, as opposed to being a demon? What's the difference between the two?
My apologies there. Someone's driving by without a muffler, it sounds like. I mean, my big identifier here is going to be what it is that specific being is going to be advocating for. I make a very large distinction between what is good and what is evil based on whether or not it is spiritual in nature. I believe that the spirit would be of the heavens. Essentially, if something is chaotic, then it is going to be considered evil, and that would be more demonic in nature. If something is actively working to break down society, to destroy any kind of harmonious system, then that's going to be a demon. Now, there is a bit of an issue here in my own personal mind whenever we use terms like God, because whenever I hear God, I'm thinking that we're dealing with some kind of a being that is going to be of spiritual superiority to us, higher than us on the scale. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be an all-powerful being. Like, let's take it back again to us being in medieval times. Like, let's just say that we're peasants, we're working out in a field. Our whole life basically revolves around farming grain and going to church on Sunday. If at that point in time some greater being would have come down and started performing quote-unquote miracles, then we might be tempted to jump to a conclusion and call that a god without it being a god. And then even furthermore, let's hypothetically say that the god itself isn't all-powerful. You don't necessarily have to be all-powerful to convince humans, you know, us imperfect, lowly humans, that you are all-powerful. You could theoretically grift us into thinking that you are much more powerful than you are and getting much more worship than you would rightfully deserve. So, like, whenever you look at the gods, the term God for me simply means a higher being of, you know, spiritual superiority. And
do you agree, like, but do you agree with Von Helton when Von Helton says that you can't know who these gods are? Like okay, that he doesn't claim he has a relationship with them or anything like that. He says that as a collective pagan, he doesn't know their names. They choose not to give them names. Are you a little different when you don't believe that?
I have some very strong opinions on Von Helton's worship. I've made a few videos on my channel picking him apart, basically. I mean, I guess that a god may conceal its name to you. I mean, I can't see any reason why we would not know it. I mean, maybe the god doesn't necessarily tell us its real name. It gives us an alias or something to go on. I can't imagine any reason why the being that you're dealing with is not going to want to give you any kind of name to identify with it, unless it is a demon, which, as we all know through folklore, once you know a name of a demon, you gain power over it. You gain the power to summon it. You gain power to banish it. Like, knowing the name of the demon is one of the last thing a demon is going to let you know. And I think that's why Vaughn's gods don't tell him their names. I think that he's being fooled, personally.
All right. So you do know that in Christianity, basically, a pagan is someone who doesn't believe in the Abrahamic deity, in the Abrahamic God. You know, Abraham, Isaac, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That would be in Christianity, being charitable with the Judaism and Islam. They are part of the Abrahamic faith, if you want to talk about relation or whatever. But the true faith, at least the Christians, is Christianity. So you do understand that as a Christian, I believe that these pagan gods that pagans worship and follow after are nothing more than demons pretending to be these gods. At least that's where I'm coming from as a Christian and what I believe. And we're also forbidden to practice the things that pagans practice.
Well, yeah, my apologies for interrupting there. Yeah, I do understand that. I mean, I have no delusions about that. I understand how Christianity views paganism, atheism. I know that it's not generally very open to other beliefs. That's actually very generous, not meaning to be insulting or anything, but Christianity is definitely not open to other beliefs. No question there.
That's not insulting. It's just the truth.
Right.
A true Christian is someone who's extremely narrow-minded in their beliefs, because Jesus said that broad is the way that leads to broad is the road that leads to destruction, but narrow is the way that leads to eternal life. So so I that's not insulting. That shows me that you at least understand our narrow point of view about how a person can come to know the true and living God or whatever. From our perspective. But one of the things I'm curious about is how do you go about worshiping your gods? Because you're worshiping more than one, I'm assuming, right? Or are you just worshiping one?
Yeah, I do believe that there are a number of gods out there. Again, that's why definitionally speaking, I would be a pagan. My worship really focuses on Lady Luck. I mean, she is my advocate in the heavens as far as I am concerned. She is the goddess who, as I understand, I agree with the most. And, I'm perfectly fine with it. I mean, I speak pretty openly to the gods. I will, reach out to other powers if I feel it needed, but I generally don't feel it needed. Like, a big part of my personal belief system is that you really shouldn't be just bothering the gods for every little thing. Like, we can handle a lot of stuff in our lives just here on our own. And if you have something that you just cannot do yourself, is it of a spiritual nature? Is it just simply too big for you to really conceive of? Then, reach out for help. But beyond that, try to be as self-sufficient as you can. As far as how I personally worship, every time I get a lucky break, I thank her, of course, as a smaller way. And this is going to be a little bit funny. I collect lucky objects, heads up pennies, bottle caps, rabbit's feet, which I'm sure I don't have to tell you, with today's soft society, you cannot find a rabbit's foot for the life of you anywhere. I mean, just people don't want to see a little rabbit's foot dangling off your hand. They freak out. People are soft. But, I collect those things, gather them up. I have a specific area, which I guess I specifically use as a shrine. That would be my level of worship. The big part, just speaking openly to what I consider to be the overarching creator God and making sure that I am as open with them as I possibly can be.
All right, because that's interesting to me, because I remember before I became a Christian, I used to be immersed in Greek mythology. I was a big fan of Hercules and Xena, not just the TV show, but the literature and everything. And I noticed something. Now I am going to use a TV show as an example, and then I guess I'll try to use something later on in the books or whatever. But one of the things I noticed as a pattern when you're watching things like when you're watching DC or Marvel, when you're watching like Xena or Hercules or something along those lines, is that the people looked at themselves as being inferior to these, to the gods that would be Hera, Hercules, Zeus, or the plethora of other gods that are out there in the pagan world. And you're right, to a certain degree. They only bothered them when they only, when they absolutely needed them, because, the way sometimes I think Zeus was portrayed, I'm sorry, or the way that some of the other ones was portrayed is like human beings was a bother in paganism. But in Christianity, we have a relationship with our Creator. He is heavily invested in what's going on in our lives, and he desires to have regular communion with us on a regular basis. So it's interesting hearing like how you feel about it, and knowing what we Christians believe about it. And plus, it's pretty consistent with a lot of the things that pagans put out there. I mean, let's just keep it real. DC, Marvel, a lot of these fictional programs where we see gods like Clash of the Titans and all this stuff, Peter Pan, all of that stuff is pagan, at least from the Christian worldview. All of those things are pagan programs. Those are pagan ideas. Those are pagan religious ideas that is being portrayed on the big screen or on the little screen or whatever, And it's just interesting because what you said is pretty consistent with what they're portraying. That this person's all powerful. I'm not. Let me not get in this person's way unless I absolutely need to, because I need assistance. It's really interesting. But I got to also point this out too, as a Christian, because in case a Christian is watching this, I got to say this. I think it's better to try to have a belief system where you have a relationship where you're talking to them, you hear back from them, you receive instructions, you get your morality from God, that from the Alpha and the Omega in the Christian worldview, that created us fearfully and wonderfully in His image. In paganism, it's rare to hear anybody say that they have a relationship. They talk about the deities, but it's super duper rare to hear them talk about like any dialogue. I'm not going to sit there and say that I haven't heard any of them say that they have dialogue, because if I say that, I'll be lying. But the point of the matter is that Christianity seems to be consistently the only belief system where we have a relationship with the with our Creator. Let me ask you this: what do you believe? Could you say you believe in Lady Luck? Do you believe you were created by Lady Luck?
No, not at all. I personally, I have no idea how any of us were created or how any of this started. And in my personal opinion, anyone that says that they know 100% is not being honest with you. Like, nobody really knows. Like, we all have our beliefs.
Is Lady Luck supernatural? Is she immaterial?
She would be, in my opinion, immaterial in our current realm. Yes, on a higher spiritual level, she would manifest as a physical being. She is not the creator now. I personally don't think that the creator really cares or is even aware of us. I don't think that it is a quote unquote creator the same way that, like a carpenter making a birdhouse would create the birdhouse. They'd be more of a creator in the way that the carpenter creating the birdhouse also created wood shavings without really any intention or goal. Now, one thing that I am going to comment on without trying to be too argumentative here is I do find it interesting the way that Christians very often portray, their connection to the Christian God as a relationship. And I suppose for a number of people that would be accurate in the sense that they do pray to God, they go to church on a regular basis to try and commune with God and become closer to Him, alongside the rest of the congregation. With that said, As far as I can tell, the actual God that is being worshipped is a book. And I mean, you saw it in the last hangout that you had on atheism with Jill in the chat. Whenever you guys called me out and Jill's sitting there mocking me, nah, you think you can beat this? Mystic Ramblings, you think you can beat this book? And then you held up the Bible. You have a relationship, but I wonder, is the relationship truly with an actual being out there, or is it the conglomeration of all these stories that have been built together over time? I mean, obviously you guys are worshiping. You guys are sending your energy somewhere, and the way I see it, we could be sending it somewhere unintended. I mean, it's a book. Like, I think that you should get away from that, listen to your inner being. Like, you have a conscience for a reason. Whenever you see something heinous being done and you feel that it's heinous, that is the spirit inside of you speaking. You can listen to that, you can commune with that, you can build a personal relationship with the creator without needing the roadmap of a rule book, essentially.
So tell me something. How much do you know about the Bible?
I mean, at this point, I have several years under my belt of watching people just like you debate the Bible, listening to a lot of atheist debates. Oh my God, I used to listen to so many atheist debates, and I can't do it anymore. Like, I do it now, and it's just like, God, it's so boring. Why did I used to care so much about this?
Well, the reason why I asked you this question,
not a genius, but I know a few things.
Okay, so the reason why I asked you that question was because you said that we worshipped we worshipped a book. See, if I worshipped a book with a bunch of pages and it some ink on it, that would make me an idolater according to Exodus chapter 20, and that would make me a pagan like you. If that's a pagan practice, that is things that pagans do. They worship different gods other than the true and living God. So by you saying that, that doesn't really shock me or surprise me. But I'm curious. Yes, we do quote a lot from the Bible because that's our revelation directly from God. It is God inspired when it was put together. This library of books. There's a lot of lazy people out there that calls it a book, and it is not a book. It is a library of books. That's why we have the book of Matthew, we have the book of Luke, we have the book of John. And when people when people say that the whole entire Bible is a book, this goes to show, and I'm not saying it's you, but I'm talking about the critics out there that claim that they know so much. They don't really know that much at all. But no, we have our Bibles. We learn about the God that we serve from what is revealed in the Word of God. But I can assure you, we have an actual relationship with our Creator, right? So, what if I took that and threw that back at you, and I said to you, well, you say you worship Lady Luck. You say you collect rabbit's foots. You collect like various different things that I guess it has to do with luck or whatever. Would it be fair for me to say that you're worshiping those things and not actually Lady Luck, using the same logic?
I mean, I feel like from your personal Christian worldview, there may be an argument that could be made there. Let me just try and explain it best in my words here. Like, those objects that are being gathered up, they are representations in my mind of what luck are. And they all get gathered together. They get put in one place inside of a nice fancy little jar that I can see them all, and they're all pretty. And basically, I treat it like a conduit. You know, it's like a representation. It's kind of like whenever you have Christians that pray before a cross. Like, we understand that the cross itself is not actually Jesus Christ or God. We understand that the cross is a representation of, you know, what the values of Jesus Christ were. Like, me personally, whenever I see the cross, I think self-sacrifice. And that is a very powerful message in my mind. So essentially, what I do with the objects I've gathered would be kind of like whenever Christians use a cross as a representation to help focus their mind towards thinking more like and being more like Jesus Christ.
See, in reality, I don't have a problem with what you just said in terms of like what you do. You have your rabbit's foot, you have your various different objects, and you use them to worship whatever deity you say you worship. There's a plethora of Bible verses, particularly in the Old Testament, that talks about how the Israelites created idols using gold, silver, or stone, or with sticks or whatever, to like Baal, and just to a whole bunch of different other gods or whatever. The Leviathan, the Queen of Heaven. They used to make cakes to the Queen of Heaven. They used to worship the sun. They used to worship the moon and everything. Now, of course, in Christianity, we believe that those are false gods, and they believe that they don't have no ears to hear you. They have eyes, but they can't see you, and they have a mouth, and they cannot speak. That's how we view it. But no, you're not going to get an argument with me as far as you actually thinking you're worshiping, this deity called this pagan god called, Lady Luck, or if you chose to worship Pan the next day, or if you chose to worship Demeter or Gaia, if you chose to worship, nature or something like that. It just depends on what brand of paganism you're coming from. Now, like I said, I know for you might think you're disrespecting me with that, but it's actually pretty close to what I believe concerning what pagans actually do. You know what I mean? They have these objects, and those objects represent whatever deity that they're worshiping. Some of them will tell you that that object is that deity, and they'll pray to it. They'll bow down to it. They'll offer sacrifices to it, or whatever it represents, and that's their way of worshiping whatever they're worshiping. But we don't do that with the Bible. We're not praying to the Bible. We're not even using it to get. We're not even praying with it in our presence in order to get God's attention. We're told to go into our prayer closets and to talk to Him there. Whatever closet that may be, it could be the bathroom, it could be the kitchen, it could be under the desk, it could be at the desk, wherever it is that you're at. You could be on a roller coaster and be praying. And we're told to pray without, and we're also encouraged to pray without ceasing. So we're doing it all the time. You just don't always see it because sometimes we keep it to ourselves. So I get what you're saying, and nothing you're saying is insulting me. I assure you of that. I thought when you said what you said about the Bible was a little funny, but none of it's insultive because I am a little familiar about how pagans view Christians, especially the Old Testament and some of the things that's written there, which I want to get to a little bit later. But do you have any questions for me? Try to turn this around so I don't keep all this pressure on you. You want to ask me anything?
Dang, let me think on that a second. I didn't really have any questions pre-prepared for you on this. I mainly just prepared to talk about.
Because at some point I want to get to the worldview. We're just doing an introduction and just talking about like some of our beliefs. But eventually I do want to get into some worldviews about some things.
Dang, I just had something on my mind and it slipped out. So I guess it must not have been that important.
Well, when you remember, just let me know. But tell me something. As a pagan, how do you see politics? Let's start with that. As a pagan, how do you see politics? What's your politics as a pagan? What would you like to see change in society as a pagan as far as politics go?
First comment, like right off the bat, I do not believe that my paganism holds a very strong sway over my personal political beliefs. I mean,
you're speaking for yourself,
I
right?
want to see, I'm speaking for myself here.
Okay, right.
Only myself.
Right.
I mean, I guess there are some things, like I definitely want to see us care more about the planet. We need to become more green, and that absolutely agrees with my paganism. But also on the other side of that, like if you would have asked me this same question 6 years ago, whenever I was a very staunch atheist, I would have told you to your face, we need to care about the planet more. Like that is just something that we really need to work on.
So politically speaking, you would probably want recycling to be enforced more, probably get rid of plastic. You probably would want to
we need to work on,
like, how do you feel about the carbon tax? How do you feel about that?
I mean, in general, I think that it's a good step forward. We're going to need to refine it a bit, but it's a good step forward. I mean, at this point in time, recycling is just, it's a petty point. It doesn't matter. We need to cut back on emissions. That is our problem right now. We need to stop pumping so many greenhouse gases into the air. I mean, I guess, okay, let me just answer your question here. I lean to the left. I'm not as extreme as most people are. Like, you have to deal with the world on reality's terms, you know? Like, I don't think that every Republican is evil. I think that there's a lot of stuff that they're holding us back on right now out of fear, but I certainly don't think that they're all evil. And I think that most of them are probably well-meaning people who are just scared and trapped in the mindset that they were raised in. So that's where I sit with that, I guess.
All right, so you're big on greenhouse emissions. Okay. You think that recycling is petty. You think that that's something that's already so okay. So what about
recycling is good. It's just not going to help us. Like, recycling, we should absolutely recycle, but at this point, like, that ain't going to turn nothing back that we're doing. The planet is on fire, and we need to cut back emissions.
Okay, so how you feel about the rainforest getting cut down? The way we're cutting down trees and everything, whether it's a rainforest, whether it's your local city, whether it's in the woods. How do you feel about all these trees being cut down, being used for different things? How do you feel about that?
I don't know. I mean, specifically, which tree is getting cut down? Like,
I mean, the rainforest is almost gone compared to what it was, 15, 20 years ago?
I mean, the rainforest, it upsets me. It definitely bothers me. But at the same time, there's an argument to be made here that that's really not my country. It ain't even our, continent. That's South America. We're living here in North America. Yeah, it's absolutely awful that it's happening. And it's happening mainly just for cattle. Like, no, we shouldn't be cutting down the rainforest. We should not be doing that.
Okay. And how do you feel about endangered animals, zoos and things like that?
I mean, again, that's specifically going to depend on which animal we're talking about. I feel really bad for polar bears because we are actively destroying their habitat. But at the same time, I mean, what's the point of conversation going to, what is the point of conservation if there's not going to be a habitat left over? Like, I'm all about saving the polar bears, but if there's not going to be any iceberg left, then where are those polar bears that we saved going to live? We're just going to keep them in the zoos so we can point at and be like, hey guys, look at how much we messed up over here.
No, it's interesting here you talk about this. So you believe that because of all of the fuel that we're using, that is destroying the ozone, and that it's causing our planet to become warmer? Do you believe that?
Yeah, I believe in climate change.
All right. See, I believe that to a certain extent. I don't believe that burning all of this oil and using all the chemicals that we're using is necessarily good for the environment either. But I think it's for vastly different reasons than what you believe, although they may be similar. I believe that God gave us dominion over this earth, and we are supposed to be taking care of it. We're not supposed to be trashing it and wasting material that could be used for thousands of years to help us do the things that we got to do. I think human beings just in general are just wasteful, and we're too interested in profits, and it gets in the way. I don't believe that gets in the way of my Christian worldview. Now, I believe that pagans, on the other hand, you can correct me if I'm wrong. If you think I'm wrong about this, I believe that the reason why they care about nature is predominantly because they worship the earth. I mean, you have people out there that worship Gaia or Demeter or whatever they're calling the earth these days. Both of those names have been used as a deity for the earth or whatever. But their whole thing is like, we got to take care of Mother Earth because Mother Earth is how we got here. You know what I mean? We need to take care of the environment. I'm not coming from that way. I'm coming from the way that God gave us dominion over this earth, and we need to take care of it. So if digging up all of this oil and using it all the time and just blowing it out with carbon gases or whatever in our atmosphere, if it's going to destroy the ozone, if it's going to take away our good quality of air, pollute all of the water and everything and whatnot, that's not good. And I believe that we're not doing what we were called to do, and that's have dominion over the earth, because we have a responsibility here. So I think me and you have some similarities in that, but I think it's just different for different reasons. What do you think about that?
I mean, from what you've said here, yeah, I would agree with you. It seems like we both agree that the planet's getting messed up. We have a lot to do with it. Now, whether or not the causation, like we agree on the causation, obviously. We're messing up here. We as human beings are doing wrong. I believe that there's a scientific reason behind it where it is a natural reaction of the earth, and you believe that it's basically God looking down at us and being like, nah, fam, what are you doing? You treat the plants better. I'm about to heat this place up, kind of thing, if I might paraphrase.
Well, it's not that God's going to heat it up. I think is what we Christians refer to as sin is going to be the reason why it's going to heat up, because we're not finding cleaner ways to use energy and everything. So and because we're abusing the natural resources that we have in this world and being ultimately wasteful towards it, it's causing our environment to be the way it is. I think that there are some Christians out there that believe or have the idea that, we shouldn't care about the environment. Jesus is going to return. You know what I mean? He's going to fix everything when he comes back. But then you got a group of us out there that do care about the environment. We're getting tired of going outside seeing, the ocean's supposed to be green or blue. It's not supposed to be gray. You know what I mean? Going out there seeing all of these dead fish and all these dead animals laying on the seaside or whatever. You know what I mean? Seeing toxic waste in our rivers and our streams, that kind of thing. We can't have that. You know what I mean? Because it's going to make it very unpleasant to live here, and we're not going to be glorifying God with what he gave us. So we Christians have a responsibility on how we are supposed to care for this earth. And again, me and you have different reasons for it. I'm doing it for who I believe is a true and living God. And you're doing it because you believe that this is earth, it's our mother, and the earth is responsible for bringing us here. You don't know how, but you just believe that the earth is responsible. As a matter of fact, let me ask you this, because me and you both will be considered theists, right? The atheists would be considered people who obviously don't, is without theism, right? So they believe in evolution. I don't know if you believe in evolution, right? So does evolution clash with what you believe about Lady Luck and what you believe about our origins? Because I know for me as a Christian, it clashes with what I believe. Does it clash with you?
I mean, just in general, no, it does not clash with me personally. It doesn't bother me at all. Like, I can look at evolution and say to myself, like, yeah, this could be a process that came about, but just because evolution exists, why does that necessarily negate the idea of spirituality in general? And the truth is that it doesn't. The way that I see this playing out, like, there's a big argument between atheists and Christians. Like, that's where the big debate here in the spiritual community is occurring, at least here in America.
Actually, say that again, because I've been saying that for the better part of last year.
I mean, it's
say that again.
True. Like, obviously, it's true. Like, whenever it comes down to this kind of stuff, like the great debate community, you're talking about spirituality, the big contention is between Christians and atheists, mainly because Christians are the predominant, belief system here in the Western culture, and atheists are persecuted very heavily, very heavily.
I don't know about that. I will say that atheists are teased and they are treated unfairly when they at least deconvert and they become atheists, primarily because, actually, that's a longer story, because if I use myself as an example, I've had friends on here deconvert and become atheists. And my preconceived ideas about atheism is how atheists conduct themselves when I was dealing with them. So I'm thinking to myself that when these people deconvert, they're going to behave like these other atheists on the internet. That's why atheists need to understand how they behave is going to affect other people in the future. Because what we're thinking about is my last encounter with an atheist, whether it's in person or whether or not it's online. And if they were unpleasant experiences, if somebody that we know is deconvert, we're going to be like, well, that's what that person's about to become. You know what I mean? So if you're talking about being persecuted in that sense, you're right. But they're not the only people being persecuted. Christians are being persecuted too. And the only reason atheists don't believe that we're being persecuted is because they either don't know fully what the term means, or they're walking around with a blindfold on and not paying attention to the world that we're living in. We're being demonized heavily on the earth. You know what I mean? And I'm glad that you notice that this debate is really between Christians and atheists, and that they don't really have an interest with these other belief systems, that they want to come after us because we're the religious system or the system that has a God that they care about the most. Very rarely do I ever see them make it a point to go after a pagan. Very rarely do I see them ever going after somebody in Islam or going after a different religion. It's always a Christian.
If I may make
very
a quick
difficult to
comment
find
on
them
that.
going after anybody else.
You're right. Like, you're absolutely right about that. I think that the reasoning that you've come to is not entirely accurate. Just to make few quick comments, starting with the concept of persecution. Might not have been the best word for me to use in hindsight. They definitely are persecuted by definition, but like whenever you historically look at persecution, it's usually very, very rough. You end up with people getting killed, dragged behind trucks, and I suppose even in the case of the Christians, they were literally fed to lions and, staked. Look at what happened to them. That was some very serious stuff. Now, in the modern day, whenever an atheist breaks away from Christianity, there's always a snapback. And one of the very first things that you are going to receive are a number of people who used to have confidence in you who suddenly do not have the slightest amount of confidence in you at all.
Right.
I mean, I was told several times, like, you cannot be good. You are an atheist. And whenever you are being told that you cannot be good, not because of your actions or because of something that someone else has said that you've done, or like even a rumor, like somebody sees you, they see what you are, and then they decide, no, you cannot be good. Like, that's just plain out bigotry. That's persecution. I mean, Christians being persecuted in today's society, there are definitely a lot of atheists who are very, very angry. They're upset because of the way that they were treated by the church in the past. I was one of those atheists. I've mentioned it on my channel a few times. And like, there's got to be something done here to fix that. Like, I understand that Christians don't like being called out and being picked on by the atheists, but at the same time, I also feel like this is a problem that is largely being caused by the Christian community, and that if there were some slight changes made to the way that churches reacted to people whenever they first deconverted, or just in general treated people who have deconverted, then you wouldn't see nearly as much animosity. And also, to build on that, I think that we all need to take into account the fact that we are here on YouTube, and I don't think that any of us as individuals really make a good example for the overall communities that we are part of. Like look at me and you here, sitting here talking about religion. Who wants to sit down and talk about religion? Like, you just take two random Americans off the street, put them in a room together, and ask them, hey, you guys want to talk about religion or politics? They're going to look at you like you're crazy. Like, we are definitely a little bit of a different breed here. And I believe that a lot of the people who are brought into the great debate community have some kind of a chip on their shoulder that they're trying to work through, and that maybe this isn't necessarily the healthiest way to do it. And I guess I'll just finish this up by saying that whenever I was an atheist, one thing that I can say for a fact is that there are a number of people who I spoke to, who I knew personally, and who I would converse with, who did not have even a slight belief in Christianity, but put on a very good face like they did, specifically because they did not want to be singled out in the community. They did not want to be the person who was getting picked on or who was thought of as differently. That did happen a number of times. And it wasn't always being picked on either. Like, sometimes it was family judgment. They wouldn't want their family to think less of them or to turn on them. And I'm just adding that in there because, like, I am a very strong believer that whenever we see that little 8%, of atheists in America, I believe that number is much lower than what the truth is. And that just in general, whenever you're dealing with anything like that, anytime that you're taking, like questions from random people, you have to assume that they're telling you the truth. Like all of those statistics assume that people aren't just lying. And that's something that we take for granted. That's all I gotta say on that.
Well, I'll say this, because I actually agree and I disagree with some of the things that you said, and I'll put it to you like this. First of all, getting back to the persecution issue, I stand by what I said regarding atheists on here. Again, part of it is their fault, because my last experience with an atheist is going to be how I view the next atheist that I see on the street, or if I see one at work or something like that, or if I just see one, somebody just deconvert from a particular belief system and become an atheist, I'm like, oh, this person's going to start acting like, these other atheists that that I've had contact with, you know what I mean? Which a lot of times ends up actually being true. But unfortunately, because these atheists are so quote unquote angry with, Christians and everything, they become very how can I put this? They tend to be very selective in what they study and what they research. If you talk to an atheist today, and you're in a debate format with them, a lot of them will claim that Christians are not being persecuted here in the United States. A lot of them will claim that we're not being persecuted in China, or we wasn't persecuted in Russia, or any of these other countries, which is nonsense. Anybody who's actually educated, and I mean really educated, I'm not talking about somebody who just went to school and learned the basics of everything and then came out, says I got a degree. That doesn't mean you're informed about the things that's going on in the world. You know what I mean? Christians are being persecuted all over the world. You know what I mean? In Egypt, they're being crucified, and in the Middle East, they're being stoned to death, beheaded, and being forced to become Muslims. Here in the United States, they're being silenced, told that they can't express their own, that they can't express their views and their opinions, and they're being censored by the very people who we're talking about right now, the atheists on here and whatnot. They don't like when somebody has an opinion contrary to what they got to say, yet they claim to be, to have censorship or whatever, to be against censorship. They're very one-sided when it comes to who's being persecuted. They're not honest about what's going on in the world at all. You know what I mean? And they claim that they don't hate Christians. They don't hate the God of the Bible, but all they do is display what we universally would agree with, that it, that we would call hatred. You know what I mean? They show a lack of empathy. They show a lack of understanding. They have no manners. They want to call you names. They have no issue with slandering. All of that stuff is persecution. And Jesus himself said it in the Gospels when he said that blessed are ye when men shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my name's sake. For great is your reward in heaven. Because so they persecuted the prophets that were before you. So Christians are being persecuted big time in the world. And the only reason atheists don't believe we're being persecuted again is because they're sadly misinformed about the world that they live in. And I think a lot of them do know we're being persecuted. But again, when you have an agenda, because some of them, the militant atheists that want to see Christianity die a slow, horrible death, they know these things are going on. They just don't want to admit it because they want it to continue to go on until Christianity is gone. So I don't agree with that at all. You know what I mean? With what you were trying to say with that. But again, I would say that that many of them are extremely ignorant to what people actually believe as far as Christianity, your beliefs as a pagan, extremely ignorant towards non-theistic religions or whatever. They're not well informed in that. All they know is that, there's a group of people out there call themselves Christians that say that their God is all knowing and all powerful and all loving. You know what I mean? And and we got to get rid of this God and we got to kill it. That's really all they know at the end of the day. And they straw man the Old Testament. They call the Old Testament Christianity, and it's not. You know what I mean? And I actually want to get into that in a minute because the Old Testament Bible, the Old Testament and the New Testament talks about pagan beliefs and our attitude and what our attitudes are supposed to be toward it. But I'm not buying it with the atheists out there. The one thing I think me and you will agree on is that they're angry. When they stop being angry, they become agnostic and will eventually adopt a religion. But if they're atheists, they're angry, very angry, and they feel it every day.
Specifically, the people who we are dealing with here on the internet. These people who are coming out here and openly looking for debate, yeah, I would say most of them have some kind of reason that they are angry. Just like atheists in general, no. I don't think that anger plays a part in every single atheist's life. I don't think that it really matters to the majority of people.
I'm not saying that all of them, but the vast majority of them out there that are engaging Christians and trying to destroy and have this goal to try to slander Christianity to death or destroy Christianity, whatever ways they're trying. Because everybody's doing it differently. Aaron Raw's not doing it the same way Matt's doing it. Matt's not doing it the same way Jacqueline Glenn's doing it. Jacqueline Glenn's not doing it the same way that the thinking atheist is doing it. And everybody's got their own different ways about how they're going about doing it. So I would agree with you that not all of them are hateful, but a lot of them do have the goal of getting rid of religion.
I mean, I think that there are a lot more people
it's a bad goal because it'll never be accomplished.
Like there are
but that's what they want to do.
That we need to address.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so first and foremost,
now we're looking at our worldviews concerning atheism. This is interesting, but go ahead.
I mean, yeah, considering atheism, I mean, so
they're anti-Protestant Reformation movement designed to destroy faith in Jesus Christ. That's how I describe them when I'm talking to people.
I have heard it, and I definitely do not agree with that.
But if you look at the definition for what a Jesuit is, you got to admit that's pretty similar to what a lot of these atheists believe. If you look at what the definition of a Jesuit is and what a Jesuit's all about.
Yeah, but I mean, similarities don't really mean all that much to me. Like, what do you express? Like, what are you saying that you actually care about and stand for? That's what's important to me. Now, earlier you mentioned that atheists bring a lot of the argument onto themselves.
Right.
I think that we need to really focus on the fact here that Christianity has a very, very strong foundation in America right now.
It sure does.
A lot of these atheists who do end up becoming angry and start this fight do end up growing up in a church. And like they're in a Christian nation. They're growing up in a Christian family. They get taken to a church, and then all this stuff plays out. And essentially what we're left with is a situation where the Christians were ultimately in control to begin with, and that they are usually the ones who are making the first strike. Like for me,
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. The atheist deconverts, and then their whole entire life goal after that is to try to create as many atheists as possible while trying to destroy, people's faith in Jesus Christ on a day-to-day basis.
May I be serious a moment here?
No, I thought me and you.
No,
were
I mean,
serious.
no, wait, we're absolutely serious, but I mean, like, this is like absolute bare bones. If
you mean no gloves?
Like, no, I mean, like, just absolutely no varnish on this.
If
I had not had a Calvinist stepfather who treated my mother, my brother, and me like crap and used the Bible as a way to defend, basically lording himself over us like he was a god, and he was not a very good god when he did it, I never would have deconverted. And like I can say very openly that singular event, the way that man treated me, taught me that people with authority are not necessarily looking out for your best interest. Just because someone has control over you does not necessarily mean that they are going to use it in a way
I
that's
agree.
good.
I agree.
And
there's nothing wrong with that. I agree with that.
Like I looked at it like, man, if you guys are going to support the way that my mother is being treated, because she's brought it up with the pastor. I saw her brought it up with the pastor. I brought some stuff up with the pastor. And I mean, basically it all boiled down to, yeah, he's the head of the household.
What did he do?
I mean, like very specifically, he was very sexist.
I see where this is going. I understand.
Like,
yeah, I understand.
That happens a lot. That bothered me.
Yeah.
And like it would just be annoying little things. Like every now and then she would say something that would be demonstrably true. Like, like, where are my car keys at? I can't find them.
Right.
And she thought that she misplaced them somewhere, and she goes, no, they're over here. You hung them on the car key thing. You just forgot about them because you were drunk last night. And then she starts getting angry, and he just cuts her off like, shut up, woman. You're supposed to be, secondary in the house. That kind of thing. Those kind of things played out regularly. And I can say, if that had not happened, I probably never would have turned away from God.
Now, show me in the Bible where it says that he's supposed to respond that way.
Oh, no, he definitely wasn't supposed to respond that way, for sure.
That's the issue. That's the issue right there. He was doing his own thing. He wasn't being obedient to Scripture. He wasn't, and you can't accredit that to Christianity. Although I can still see why that would turn you off, because this person probably should have known better and should have known that when they was behaving like that it was going to affect other people. I mean, I get and I understand it, because I see Christians do things a lot that they shouldn't be doing. You know what I mean? So I mean, I get and I understand that, but that's not a reason to deconvert and become an atheist. Okay, an atheist is somebody that doesn't believe that God exists. It sounds like when all these things happen, you just got angry.
CG man, like
we're talking about the worldview here.
Well,
we're talking about how we see everything, right?
Like, do you
and
want
as
to
a
talk
Christian,
about
that's
how
how I
there's
see
no
it.
possible way that Noah could have put 2 of every animal on the flood, on the boat during the flood? Like, I had logical reasons. Mr. Jerk stepdad definitely didn't help, and he was what pushed me over the edge. But there were a lot of different things that built up to it. And
well, first of all, it wasn't a boat; it was a barge. That's number one. And number two, it wasn't just 2 of every animal. It was quite specific about what was supposed to go on the barge. So, and it was never called a boat; it was called an ark. So, and this ark was a certain size, and it had a certain amount of rooms in it, and they was in this ark for a certain amount of time. So, if you had questions and you felt like these questions wasn't answered, or you heard certain things about the Bible and you felt like you didn't get satisfactory answers, believe it or not, that is actually understandable, because I went to churches before and I asked questions and I didn't felt like I got any understandable answers, and then I just up and left, or I did my own study and got my own answers. You know what I mean? But that's not a reason to become an atheist. An atheist is somebody that doesn't believe that God exists. You know what I mean? And I'm assuming when you're talking about this, as a pagan and how you see things as a pagan, right? Because I'm looking at this as a Christian, how I look at it when I'm listening to people's stories on why they become an atheist, which is why I stopped calling them that. I only do it out of respect now. I look at them honestly and truthfully as being misotheists and anti-theists. And that doesn't mean they're atheists. You can be a theist and be and actually be a misotheist. You can be a theist and be and actually be an anti-theist. It's kind of weird, but you can do that if you're worshiping one God and then hating the other ones or whatever. You know what I mean? So atheists, on the other hand, that's usually because you don't believe that he exists altogether. You know what I mean? For whatever reason. So I get and understand how you felt. I'll tell you a quick story, a very quick story with no details. I do know one person who's a YouTuber that got mad at God because they felt like God should have done certain things in their life, but he never did it according to them. So it will lead you in that direction, but it doesn't mean that you're an atheist at heart or whatever, you know? So I'm curious though. I'm curious. Since you believe in multiple deities, why do you believe atheists don't approach pagans about what they believe, or try to deconvert you from what you believe?
Why do they not come to pagans?
Yeah, it's out of curiosity.
Hold on. I really wanted to respond to what you were going to say, or what you were just saying there, because there was so much stuff. You can
do it in a separate video if you want.
No,
We're almost running out of time, actually.
Like, yeah, I mean, we're
gonna have to do a part 2 of this.
Just totally floated on my mind. Oh, yeah, sorry. Let me just comment real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are multiple reasons why I did ultimately come to become an atheist. And again, the deconversion process, it never happens.
No. I didn't ask you why you became an atheist. I asked you,
I mean, I'm just
as a
explaining.
pagan,
Like,
I'm wondering, as a pagan,
well,
why do you believe they don't come at you and try to deconvert
I
you?
mean, I'll explain that. I just want to, touch on, that beforehand, though. Everything you had just said. Like, I definitely had logical reasons for why I didn't, stop believing. And the deconversion process is usually pretty long. Like, I remember whenever I very first stopped, quote unquote, believing, I didn't just become an atheist. Like, I became what I referred to initially as a quote unquote pagan, because I understood that was the term that was used for people who did not believe in God. And then a few people in my personal life were like, dude, that's archaic. Don't say pagan. That sounds stupid. You're actually an agnostic. That's what you really are. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm an agnostic, I guess. So I was an agnostic for a while. I looked into things. I lost my
Not what I asked you, though. I asked you.
I'm getting there. I mean, ultimately, I guess I'm just trying to say that, like,
why don't they try to
in the
deconvert
way
pagans?
that hold on. Let me, again, one last comment. My stepdad acting the way he did wasn't what really broke me away from Christianity, but it definitely is one of the things where, as a representative, it's keeping me from returning now. Like, there's a reason why I didn't come back. As far as why atheists don't bother with pagans or really any other belief system other than Christianity, it all comes down to the fact that here in the Western culture, which is where a lot of the people that you deal with come from, Christianity is king as far as religion goes. You guys are the big dogs. You have your finger.
So you're basically telling me that the reason why atheists don't go after pagans, they only want to go after the popular people? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying
that's not atheism.
It's not popularity, G-Man. It all comes down to the fact that the numbers that you guys have give you an unprecedented control in government. Look at the Roe v. Wade scuffle that we're in right now. Like, there are a lot of people who believe a certain way, and you guys have the numbers that you can push to basically force that belief on everybody else. And
okay, so you're basically saying that that atheists only are concerned with Christianity. They're not interested in deconverting Muslims. Because I don't know if you know this or not, or perhaps you do, and you're not talking about it on purpose or whatever, but Muslims blew up the World Trade Center. Why aren't they trying to deconvert Muslims?
Because Muslims are not the majority of the religious people
in
our country.
Hold on a minute. There are over 2 to 3. There's over 1 to 2 billion Muslims on the planet. Okay,
not here in America.
They blew up the World Trade Center. They flew an airplane, according to what we saw in the news. Anyway, they flew an airplane into the Pentagon. Okay, They are constantly making terroristic threats towards the United States. And you're telling me that their primary focus is Christians? Do you understand what the ratio of Muslims? Hold on a minute, because this is just one belief system. I'm going to get to the rest of them in a minute. You don't see Christians flying airplanes into the World Trade Center, and you don't see Christians flying airplanes into the Pentagon. Do you want to know why atheists are going after Christians? Because they're an anti-Protestant Reformation movement designed to destroy the church. They're not atheists. They're not atheists in the historical sense. That they don't believe that no God. Hold on a minute. That no God exists. Okay, and this is strictly from the Christian worldview now. Okay, if they were real atheists, and I've been around a couple of them, you know what I mean, that claimed that they were real and went after these other belief systems like forbidden fruit and some of these other more militant atheists. That is, the moment they find out you're a theist, they would attack you. And the fact that you believe in Lady Luck, I noticed that not one person in this live chat has attacked your belief system. You want to know why? You want to know why? They're an anti-Protestant Reformation movement designed to destroy the church. Okay? What is their excuse for not attacking the Hebrew Israelites? That walks around on a regular basis and say people like yourself and all other white people are the devil, and you should all be beheaded.
You the answer, G-Man. You just don't want to hear
it. Just hear me out. And they want to behead all white people, right? What about all of the other religious cults that are in the United States that are directly affecting people? More importantly, paganism. The majority of the people that are in political office, those people are pagans. Okay, Everything about Washington, everything about Washington D.C. from the Washington Monument to what was the Georgia Guidestones and everything that these people was representing all came from pagans. Why aren't they attacking them? You want to know why? They're cool with the pagan gods. They don't got an issue with Satanism. I've heard them promote it. Aaron Ra recently became a Satanist and still claiming to be an atheist, right? You got a lot of them that don't have an issue with Buddhism, Hinduism, or anything like that. They only want to come after Christianity. That's not atheism historically. Historically speaking, atheism is against every religion under the sun. Then those people don't exist no more. They really don't.
Agree. They don't agree with a majority of the belief systems that you've just, said, at least, the beliefs behind them. They're not nearly as militant against them. And again, to be fair to the audience out there, y'all are being polite to me. I'm pretty sure that's just because I try to be a polite person in general, but I know y'all think I'm crazy. It's okay. It's all right. I know you guys think I'm crazy.
Well, here's the thing,
down to the power,
but here's the thing, though, and this is what I really want to get into with the nuts and the bolts of this. I don't have to tell people that atheists are only against Christians. They reveal that about themselves all the time. Okay, which is why I'm not shy about using Psalms 14:1 and the other passages that I use to describe the kind of people that they are. They are liars. They are dishonest. If they were against religion the way they claimed they were, they would be going after all religions, and they're not doing that. They're super friendly with the Catholic Church. Let me show you something here real quick. Go to my brand here real quick. Let me show you something here real quick. This woman that I'm going to put on here in a minute is a Roman Catholic, and she is besties with the atheist community.
It's time for preaching to the choir ministries.
And it's not just her. There's several of them that's either part of the Catholic Church or part of an older version of the Catholic Church. And they're besties with the atheist community because they have the same goals. They secularize them. They secularize you. They secularize a lot of different people. They don't have an issue with you. They know that Christianity isn't going to budge on these things, and that's why they're attacking us. So people heard your point of view on this. They've heard mine for years regarding this. And I believe that over the years, people have seen that what I'm saying about these people is a heck of a lot more accurate than what I hear you saying regarding the atheists, because these people forever has been saying, well, we don't believe in any deities, and we're about getting rid of religion. If you're about getting rid of religion, then why are you only talking about one? Let's say Christianity dies tonight. There are no more Christians on the planet.
Bro,
who are they going to attack next?
If
they're not even attacking these people now.
I mean, what if it just disappears out of the country? Where
I'm saying that Christianity dies tonight. Let's say if Christianity dies tonight. Nobody is professing to be a Christian no more. Now everybody became pagans.
Look, the atheists here in this country, the atheists here in the United States, they're not about to go and start arguing with, the Muslims over in the Middle East or anything like that. If Christianity died, if they got immediately what they wanted, they would turn and start focusing their efforts on the United States itself. They would start working to build the country that they had been trying to build for so long. And I know you don't like hearing it, G-Man, but it really does ultimately come down to the fact that Christianity is the top dog in our country, and all the people here in America who got raised in Christian households and who got bit by Christians here and there. That's why they don't like Christians.
Christianity doesn't have the influence. Christianity doesn't have the influence in politics anymore. The way the way you're trying to describe.
Roe v. Wade just got overturned.
That's great that Roe v. Wade. That's great that Roe v. Wade.
Power and that you're dangerous.
That's great that it got overturned. It's great that it got overturned. It's still not changing the fact that we have that abortion is still practiced in some parts of the country.
How would you overturn?
Hold on a minute. It doesn't change the fact that abortion is still practiced in this country. Okay, and there's a plethora of pagan practices being practiced in this country, particularly done by the Holy Roman Catholic Church, and our president happens to be a Catholic. Okay, so and there are a lot of things that the Roman Catholic Church does that's pagan in nature. You know what I mean? I don't need to go through its history about what the Catholic Church did before the United States came into power, and I don't think you want to hear about what I believe that they have done in since the United States has become a country.
I'm not a Catholic, G-man.
I'm sorry?
I'm not a Catholic in the Catholic.
Yeah, but Catholics practice have pagan beliefs, though.
I mean,
the Catholic Church, a lot of atheists. I'm sorry?
They're a sect of Christianity, G-man.
No, they're not. They're part of Christendom. I talked about this yesterday on the G podcast. There's Christendom, and then there's Christianity. Christianity deals with the teachings of Jesus Christ and what he actually taught us to do and how we're supposed to live, and what we need to do to be saved. The Roman, if a person's part of Christendom, you can be a cult, you can be a false religion, claim you know Jesus, and be part of Christendom. Believe it or not, the Hebrew Israelites is part of Christendom, but they are not Christianity. Okay, so we will call them false religions and the cults. You know what I mean? So the bottom line is, at the end of the day, you're saying that atheists would see that once Christianity is gone, that they would just focus on the United States or whatever, right? Tell me something. How many planes do we got to have flying into these buildings before atheists are focusing on Muslims? Perhaps a plane should fly into, let's say, a children's hospital, or perhaps it should fly into the atheist experience when it comes on this Sunday or whatever, for them to finally start trying to talk to them. They're not atheists, man.
Inflammatory, G-man.
No, I'm not trying to be inflammatory. What I'm trying to get you to see from my worldview is that these people are not atheists. They're anti-Protestant Reformation people designed to destroy the church. That's it. They're not here for no other belief system. And get this, and this is the really telling thing. If you get rid of Christianity, religion is alive and well. Religion's alive and well. What did they really do at the end of the day? They got rid of one of, like, what, 400 or 500 different religions on the planet? It doesn't make a difference. Somebody else, the Muslims are going to become number one. And then you're going to have Judaism. And I don't think you guys know what Muslims actually believe. Number one, they believe in something called jihad. And they're not us. They're not giving you a choice to become believers. They're about forcing you to become a believer. And if you don't, they're going to be
if you didn't have to, G-man? Would you let me practice my paganism if you were in control of the country?
Christians to a certain degree.
You specifically, you're like Big Daddy, Big Boss. You are king of America.
If I was the president of the United States, that means I'm the president of everybody over here, of the entire country. I would try to outlaw false religion, but that ain't gonna work, because then I'm not representing all of the people. I would have to come up with policy that allow people to practice what they want to practice in their homes, as long as they're not breaking any laws. But here's the thing, though, okay? In an atheistic country, hold on a minute. In the atheistic country, you can't even do that. You can't even practice what you believe in your own home. You know what I mean? But it's interesting that they're okay with airplanes flying into buildings and killing hundreds of people. Obviously, some of their relatives was not in the World Trade Center, so obviously they ain't got no reason to care. But if I could screen share, I would definitely remind them what happened on 9/11. And you're telling me that if a Muslim wasn't here and spreading Islam, that they wouldn't want to come in here and try to destroy their faith? No, they're just focusing on Christians.
Yeah, they're not going to care about it as much, G-man. They're just not going to care about it as much. I mean, that's the hard.
I'm glad you said it, though. I'm very happy you said it. You said it, I think, at least 4 times in here. I'm very happy you said it, because you're stating what I've been talking about for the last 10 years.
If only
they only care about the Christian God, and that's it. That is not atheism. It's not. There's nothing atheistic about that. As a matter of fact, it's theistic. They're basically saying I prefer one God over the other one. That's really what they're saying.
It's hard to listen to a little bit here, G-man. Like, I used to be an atheist, like openly admitted. I was
never an atheist, and I never will be an atheist.
I loved
it's too demonic for me.
I followed Matt Dillahunty prolifically. up until the point that I realized that, yeah, he is basically just a jerk.
I'm glad you woke up.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people have to a lot of things, you know, like it's no mistake that the Amazing Atheist isn't as popular as he used to be. People are
Tell
not
me
as
about it.
loud as they used to be.
Tell me about it.
But I mean, yeah, like I used to be an atheist, and
I mean, you get a
wasn't
guy
part-
holding a brick and throwing mud all over his body, going,
Yeah, I remember that. Oh,
yeah, man, it's like disgusting. Start shoving a banana up his butt.
I was so young.
You know what I mean?
I don't care. If he shoves a
I wonder
banana.
when they're going to review that. When they're going to review the Amazing Atheist shoving a banana up his rear end.
Nobody cares. Like they don't care about that.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Because I guarantee you that if I call up a certain theist that me and you know and say, listen, why don't you shove a banana up your butt? Watch how fast you get 1 million views. Oh, it'll happen. Trust me. It'll happen.
Maybe. I ain't watching nobody put a banana up their butt.
Well, a
I'm
lot of
good with
people
that.
watch the Amazing Atheist do it. I mean, he ain't get those 1 million subscribers for nothing.
Well, maybe I don't know. Maybe
You say that nobody
not
cares
the
about it,
Amazing
dude. But like I
Atheist.
said, I look at that guy's channel, and then I look at some of the channels that you watch on here, dude. And
He's
I'm
old
sorry,
news, man.
it's night and day.
Like it is. It's
$500,000 a year on donations, as opposed to $300 or what is it? I heard. I heard some of these people make like $60,000 or $70,000 a year or whatever. 500,000, 70,000. You got big potatoes, and you got people that are, you know, picking off the ground and whatnot. You know what I mean? When you say that nobody cares, like who's nobody? You talking about the 10 people in our community here?
Oh no, I'm talking
Who's
about
nobody?
just in general, the quote unquote atheist community. If you could use the term like that, like
The
there was
atheist
a
community
big
cared enough
flash
about
in
it for
the pan.
everybody to be talking about it. Like I said, the man shoved the banana up his
No, man.
behind.
Like this is literally the first time that I've heard this brought up, probably in 2 years.
The reason why nobody's talking about it because they've been too busy talking about two other people on here.
No, I mean
Over
they
and
don't care.
over and over and over and over, and their viewership is getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and nobody cares.
Like,
You know
hold
what I
on,
mean? So, you know,
let me I guess rephrase this a little bit.
yeah.
Whenever I say that nobody cares, I do mean that in the sense that, like, again, the atheist debate, it's just not as hot as it used to be. You know, it doesn't
For
draw
some.
as many people. Yeah, for some.
For some.
Just in general.
There's about 30 or 40 people in this community that me and you are in. Well, that you're in, because I don't claim to be in that community, but there's about 30 or 40 of them in that community.
What community am I in
that just hear me out, that have gotten away from the great debate, and now they have joined Comedy Central. And because they're doing that, and they're making a little bit of breadcrumbs and whatnot, that's what they want to do. Now, if I want to talk about the atheists that actually do care about these topics that me and you are talking about, I got to go to people like Steve McRae. I got to go to people who used to just hear me out.
I'm sorry.
Listen to me. You don't got to agree with me on this one. You don't got to agree with me. That's the beautiful thing about a conversation, okay? But I got to go to people like Steve McRae, who had the Non Sequitur show. Tell me something. Who in this community that you're involved in? And I'll name the channels: The Geek Room, Miss Parker, BGTV. How many of them have actually done a show, talked about serious issues that's impacted this community?
I don't know why you're roping me in with that community personally.
No. I'm trying to make a greater point.
Of that community.
I'm trying to make a greater point, because when I look at Steve McRae and his Non Sequitur show that he had, they was actually doing something. When I was looking at the Magic Sandwich show, when DPR Jones was alive, they was doing something.
Bro, whenever
This
I was
community
an
that
atheist, I thought Steve McRae was like an atheist G-man. That's exactly how I looked at him, and I did.
If you look at somebody like the people I mentioned, I'm thinking like, you know, the Drunken Peasants. I'm thinking about like Itchy and Scratchy. I'm thinking about you know, I don't know, Beavis and Butthead, like stuff that make you lose brain cells. Like you're not gonna learn nothing watching those channels. If I actually want to get involved in a deep, meaningful conversation, those are the channels I got to go to. I got to go to Cheshire Vic. I got to go to Steve McRae. I got to go look at old episodes of DPR. I got to go look at and believe it or not, even Fundamentally Flawed was doing better than some of these other shows that we see on here. All they're concerned about is being petty and trying to be as disrespectful as possible. Now, let me ask you something, and I want to put you on the spot here for a moment. As a pagan, do you believe that's how people should behave? Do you believe the way those channels are acting, that that's how human beings should treat other human beings?
It's going to depend on a channel-to-channel basis.
Let's
Like
start
my
with Miss
big
Parker.
issue, I mean, if we're going to talk specifically about Miss Parker, like let me lay a little bit of groundwork here so we at least know where the overall logic is coming from here.
Right.
I believe that essentially the actions that we take, you know, whatever we make part of our daily lives and really absorb into ourselves and make part of our just normal being is ultimately going to affect us. And if you go around just being a nasty person all the time, then that is going to basically lower your spiritual level. It's going to make you a darker person, spiritually speaking. Whereas if you're, you know, good all the time, like, you know, good for lack of a better term here, you know what I mean? You know, you're going to become a better person. So ultimately, I feel that a lot of these drama channels that we deal with reach a point.
Let's not call them drama channels. Let's just call them YouTube channels.
Well, all right, yeah, a lot of these YouTube channels that we're talking about, the specific ones that we're talking about.
Let's talk about Miss Parker specifically,
like
and what she puts on her channel. Because the stuff that goes on her channel, you know, as far as social media goes, is going to get a lot of people to laugh, to feel good about themselves, because at least somebody else is getting teased and it ain't the person watching it.
I mean,
watching her content is going to make you, you know, feel all ooey and gooey inside because you're laughing at other people at the expense of their misery, right?
All right, let me
and as a Christian, and just a human being in general, I just think that's evil. I think that's just evil that you're just doing it because you can do it. That's evil. That's as evil as how you described your father was being towards your mother, because the woman knows exactly what she's doing. She knows the response that she wants. And if she gets the response she wants, she's going to continue to do it. From the Christian worldview, I look at somebody like her as being outright evil. And when I say evil, let me really break this down. I put her on this in the same conversation, and it's going to be hard for you to hear this, but this is how I really look at her, BG, and some of these other people. I look at these people as Stalin, Hitler, Jeffrey Dahmer, and any other criminal that's ever existed. I look at these people as being harmful and detrimental to our society, not helping it, not causing anyone to grow, not teaching anyone anything, not having a greater goal, but rather just looking at these people as just being troublemakers who, if they tried to do this in somebody's face, it would result in a black eye or something like that, or a broken nose. Let's keep it real. If somebody was saying all that stuff about you and they did that to your face, hopefully you won't be fake and you'll keep this real. And they was doing that to your face. How are you going to respond to that?
I mean, if somebody was doing like literally what you were doing,
not me.
Not you specifically, but you were just describing.
Because I do this to people in front of their face, and I'm upfront and I'm honest about it.
At the very least, they're going to be told that they need to step back. Like,
they're violating your space, and they need to mind their business. Because if they don't, you're going to ball your fist, and they're going to get an implant on their face, because that's how they're behaving. That's what they're asking for.
Like, hold on, like you're trying to lure me into simping for Miss Parker here. So let me
let
me go ahead and give you what you want real quick. So
that's a good one. I like that one. That was a good icebreaker. I like that one. Good.
All right. So basically, the way that I see her and her whole situation is that she's definitely what you would describe as a drama investigator. I guess that's what they like to call themselves. Like, she likes to find people who have done things that she considers to be
a busybody.
Like I mean, basically, she looks for people who do things that are stupid to a point that it's like common sense. Like, what are you doing this? It's real easy for a bunch of people to pile on it because it's the lowest common denominator sort of thing.
Easy targets.
Easy targets, basically.
Yeah.
Now, I don't really find that to be a particularly endearing trait in and of itself. With that said, there are a few things that Miss Parker has done that I do consider to be redeeming. Mainly is that she is very self-aware. Like, she knows she's not a big YouTube channel. She said it herself. She knows that the fights that she's going after are petty. And for me, like, it does help whenever somebody can at least recognize what they're doing for what it is, and more importantly, that they're not going to try to lie to you about it. Like,
and that they're admitting that they're a troublemaker,
I mean,
and that they
essentially, yeah.
want that they want the heat. So it's she's setting herself up for, you know, what the channel is called, basically reaping what she sows. She'll go out there and she'll make a YouTube video and say some things about people, and it's like, well, if this person decides to give you a receipt, everything that they do to you from that point on, you kind of deserve it.
I mean,
and that's all of them. It ain't just her. I'm using her as an example now. That's all of them. If somebody comes out, for example, and say, I've been following you, Ms. Parker, for like the past 5 days, and I don't like things that you've been saying, so I might confront you and then show a knife on camera. Now, I would say that that's illegal. You can't do stuff like that. You can go to jail for doing that, but she kind of did that to herself, since she picked a fight with a person who's potentially crazy and she don't know nothing about them. She don't even know if that person's their next door neighbor. She doesn't know nothing about them. And that's what's dangerous about what they do on here. They don't know what they're doing, who's talking to other YouTubers and whatnot, the information that's being given out, or anything like that. To me, it's just dumb. When I pick a fight with a religious person over a belief system, I make sure they understand, look, as a human being, Mystic, if you got a PS4, me and you can talk about, like, you know, whatever game you like on that, or some type of old time game you like, or we can talk about a basketball game, the NBA, if you watch that. If you're into astronomy or something, not astronomy, astronomy, yeah. We can talk about that, or, you know, I mean, I'm sure we can find common denominators as human beings, but when it comes to our belief system, I'm upfront with you. I disagree with you and I want to change your mind.
That's fair. That is fair. And
so
you should be upfront. I think that we should all be as upfront with each other as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, dang. I guess
I at least warned Miss Parker. I warned Miss Parker and I warned BGTV. I said, because if they're going to keep making these funny looking thumbnails, which I'm actually laughing at now, I'm like, okay, fine. I know how to do this stuff now. You're going to get a receipt. I will show you the text messages, not text messages, but the YouTube messages where I say, okay, you're going to get a receipt for this. You're going to get a receipt for this. And that's when you guys see them going on there and they're barking like a dog, or having them talk like a munchkin or something like that. And I do that as a receipt because I'm tired of doing YouTube searches and I see my face like this, and I see my face like this. And all this other stuff. I say, okay, bet. Now watch what I put on YouTube. You know what I mean?
I got 2 things to say here. Just
to
finish up opinions on Miss Parker. Like, I don't think that she's all that bad. I don't think that she's necessarily like the greatest person in the world, but like, I don't think she's all that bad. She's shown an ability to get over the pettiness whenever a real serious problem rears its head, and I find that to be admirable. I mean, she's just a YouTuber. I like watching her channel. I like watching her Let's Plays. She's got one on
I
today.
haven't seen her deal with a serious issue yet. As a matter of fact, I don't remember ever seeing her serious. I've seen her husband be semi-serious, but I never seen her be serious.
Okay, hold on, wait. Before we get too much further, I want to help you here.
Yeah.
So you keep on saying that you have these receipts to give people.
Help me.
Yeah, like,
what do you mean help me?
Like, you've got a misunderstanding that I don't want you to get made fun of for. So you keep on saying that you're going to give these receipts to people, and you make these funny looking pictures that you then put on your channel, and you tell them that you gave them a receipt.
Yeah.
A receipt, whenever people say that, what they're talking about is some kind of evidence to back up a claim. Like, think about it like you go to the store, you buy yourself a jug of milk, and you get,
and then I get a receipt, and then the receipt's going to be proof that I bought the jug of milk.
Yes.
When I use the term receipt, I'm using it like this. Because all of this is slang at the end of the day, right?
Wait, G-Man, wait, we just hold on.
Wait a minute. It's slang at the end of the day, though, because when I use it, I'm like, okay, you made a funny thumbnail about me. Now I'm gonna make one about you. And I said I'm gonna give them a receipt. I'm just using it differently than everyone else. I know what the heck a receipt is, but I'm just telling people I'm using it differently. That's when you're with slang. When we're not dealing with slang and we're dealing with let's say words like the Bible, which there is no slang definition for it. You know what I mean? If we're talking about a serious topic, then I'll go to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, or I'll try to use whatever is, whatever dictionary does the best job at defining a word, and I won't play around. But if I'm dealing with slang,
well,
come on, I still use dope for example. I say, oh yeah, that video was dope.
Oh yeah,
And that word was played out back in the 80s.
Oh
You
man,
know
that's tight. That's tight.
Yeah.
I feel
yeah,
you.
I can use the word any way I want. But when it's time to get literal about stuff, that's when I can be a real pain in the butt. Like, for example, atheists say there's no such thing as a God. Define what a God is. And you'll be surprised how many of them can't do it. You'll be shocked at how many of them can't define that word.
Webster. I guess let me just finish up then by saying that the important part of the receipt here, Jan, is the fact that you would have gotten the receipt to prove that you bought the milk. It's like if you get home and then the milk is sour and you have to take it back, the cashier isn't going to take the milk unless you have that receipt. And that's where the important part here. Like, I know that you're using it however you want to use it, and that's fine. You have that right. But like, there is some importance behind the metaphor, and you are going to make yourself look a little silly.
Well, for you personally, if you don't like the way I use the word, the way I'm using receipt, when I'm dealing with you, I'll change it. But when I'm dealing with everybody else, I'm going to continue to use the way I'm using it, unless I see some reason to change it or whatever. Because it's slang at the end of the day. Neither one of us is technically using it. Even the person that's making a video response is showing the proof that a person was lying about something and whatnot. They're not using it technically right either. You know what I mean? If you want to be technical about it. And the very fact that we're even talking about it takes away the fun of the slang of it at the end of the day. It's kind of like a rap battle. If I'm rapping against you and you're asking me, well, what does this mean? Then you probably shouldn't be in that rap battle. If you can't, if you don't know what a diss means, if you don't know, you don't understand what the purpose of having that battle is. You know what I mean? Some of the things that's being said, like when somebody says that, I'm dope on the mic, doesn't mean that you're on the mic. It just means that you're really good.
They would know what you meant though, because like there's a connection in that metaphor. Whereas hypothetically, if you just walk up and you're like, yo, this is Mystic Ramblings and I'm Receipt on the mic, no one's going to know what I mean because there's no.
Well, that's not how I use it though. That's not how I use it. And the people that I've said I'm giving them a receipt, you know what I mean, for the things that they said. You know what I mean? They understood what I was talking about. Miss Parker never told me, well, G-Man, that's not the correct usage for receipt. She didn't say that to me. And neither did Mr. TV. He ain't say it either. The bottom line is that I know that one of the best ways to deal with them when they make their little thumbnails is just to give them one right back. Like I have a whole bunch of them here that I can show people here that I want to use in the future, but I'm not going to show now, but I'll show an old one here that I got here of Miss Parker. When Miss Parker decides she wants to show a video with me crying or something like that and be petty or whatever, I'm going to put this up there. I got one with her on a manatee. I have one. I mean, you'll be surprised how far I went putting her face on things. I'm just not going there no more. At least not right now, anyway. I got this one at BGTV. I thought this one was kind of funny. You know what I mean? Since he wants to make fun of me all the time. You know what I mean?
They're funny, but I just fear that they're going to lack the potency, No,
that's fine. You should see the comic book that I'm making. I actually got quite a few things. Like
you're making a comic book right now?
Oh, I'm making a comic. I'm making a lot of stuff. I got a lot of lost time to make up for. Show them. I'm gonna show them who got the real jokes around here. But anyway, just getting back to the topic in general. Just from this conversation alone, you can see our differences, right? On how we see things, how we see the atheist community, how we see the drama community, how we see a little bit about how we see politics, it's a little bit how we see climate change, how we view gods and demons and all that, right? You would say that we covered that a little bit today, right?
I'd say we had a pretty fair discussion today, yeah.
I would love to actually have a conversation with you about the soul on the and just try to see it from your perspective first. And then if you have any questions with me regarding what I think about it, we can do it again if you want. Because I'm thinking about doing a part 2 because I want Vaughn here. I want Vaughn to be here next time so he can talk about that cape and that demonic star that he wears around his neck. And some of the other stuff that Vaughn talks about that I would like to get into him with finally, that I want to talk to him about. And then with this other girl that was on here, I forget her name.
I forget her name too. I know who you're talking about because I think about her every now and then. She had the cat. She lived in California.
Yeah. I don't know her name or whatever. I don't remember a whole lot about her, but she talked about this stuff. And as a matter of fact, There's somebody else in our community. I don't think it's Mo. Mo the pagan died, right? I don't think she's alive no more, right? So it was the other one. It was let me get my Skype here real quick. I forget her name.
Pagans, you thinking of Christina Blackfeather?
Yeah. If she can get over the whole Ira Alex thingy, I like to get her in here to talk about this a little bit. And see her worldview on this. And then I want to get Beckel's doing his own show. That's why he couldn't come in here today. I picked a bad day for this one. But I'll try to get more Christians in here. But I got to get Christians that's going to stay on topic and isn't going to disrupt. Because there are some people that I used to invite in the past that just disrupt everything, and I don't want that. I'm going to pre-invite people to the show. So if you have another pagan that you want to bring on here next time, let me know about it before you give them a link or anything like that.
I mean, I don't really have any like pagans that I know here on YouTube that make, content or anything.
Mm-hmm.
If you hold another, thing like this, then I'll jump in for sure. And, I'll be as polite as I can and try and be a good.
You were polite.
Example.
You gave me your strong opinions, and I respect that. At least you try. I mean, at least you did that, and you was upfront about it. The stuff that you thought that was going to insult me doesn't insult me. I've been doing this for too long for the stuff that you said that, the stuff that you were saying to insult me. None of that was insulting me, but it got me passionate though. Made me want to talk about some things though.
You know how it is. People can get really, really touchy whenever they start talking about their beliefs. It's hard to tell exactly where a soft spot might be. I'm sure that I have soft spots that I don't see and that'll get brought up at some point.
Well, there's a lot of things I want to talk about next time, like worship, how you worship your gods, the importance of it, how it affects your day-to-day life and everything. We could talk about that next time if you want. But I'm kind of glad we got this atheist thing out the way because I really don't want to bring that up no more. Because I done said what I said about them people, and my mind hasn't changed about it because every single day they're showing me that I'm right about the things that I'm saying. Minus a few people. There are some of them on here that don't participate in these debates and don't participate in these conversations who I either met in person or I talked to in private that ain't nothing like these people that I see in these reaction crowds.
Oh, yeah.
So,
they're here for a very specific reason, and that is to work through whatever issue that they have. And I'd say the majority of them here trying to debate and pick fights have some kind of an issue to work through. And that's coming from somebody who did have an issue that they had to identify themselves. I guess with all that said, I mean, seems like the hangout's kind of petering out. I'm getting a little bit tired.
We can do it next time. I'm going to do this again next Tuesday, if you're interested, and we can continue this conversation if you want. But again, I want to get into worship, the soul, what you think happens after you die, just to give you a little preparation about some of the things that we can talk about. And actually, come and think about it, before you leave, I got one more question I want to ask you as a pagan, right? I'm not going to give you the Christian response because everybody who's watching this, I think, knows my response on this, right? But it's not it's not easy to answer it. I think it's a little hard when you think about it. But do you think that our government should be secular, or do you think our government should be theistic?
I think our government should be secular. Yes.
Why?
I believe that is the best way to equally show respect to all religions. Like, if any of us get into power, I do not trust us to respect the other beliefs, and that's Christians, Jews, Muslims, pagans, whoever. I do not expect us not to show ourselves favoritism. We're people. We don't have that much self-discipline. It needs to be secular.
See, we need to talk about that the next time we do this discussion, because I agree and I disagree with that. And we'll talk about why in our next discussion. And like I said, I hope Von Helton will participate in the show, and I can at least get Veckel in here too. Either Veckel or somebody that wants to have more of a conversation. Because the one thing I know about Vec, if Veckel disagrees with you, it's going to be some debating going on. So I'll try to get somebody who wants to have more of a conversation to hear about it. But there will be no atheists in the room when we talk about this. So primarily because I'm just sick and tired of hearing, where's your proof for your God? I'm like, listen to me, dude. We already talked about that. I don't want to talk about that no more. So I don't want to hear
have a big issue with it personally.
I've already answered their question like 1 billion times, and I'm not answering it no more. So
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
This was fun. I mean, if you really want to get Vaughn in on the hangout, you know,
he claims to be an eclectic pagan too. So,
and he's not going to go into detail on his beliefs. I mean, like just the basic stuff that you've asked me, where I've been willing to talk and go into some detail and really.
Well, he would have joined you in it. We haven't even gotten to the Bible yet, and how the Old Testament laws concerning pagans. And I can tell you this: if Vaughn was in here, Vaughn would be pointing out all of the Old Testament laws that talks about killing pagans and all this other stuff. You might want him in here because we're getting into that conversation next time. And if you're not familiar with the Bible,
his belief to be honest, G-Man, I think that his system of belief has been built to be entirely self-serving towards his ego. Look, it
doesn't make a difference. He still claims to be a pagan, so I want to bring him in here.
Right. But
you don't got to agree with him.
Don't expect this is going to be like a let's team up against the Christians, Vaughn, and beat them up. That ain't happening.
And he's not the only person I'm going to bring in. Like I said, there's other people that I know that are pagans in this community. But this is the new conversation here. Like I said, the one thing I do agree with you on is that a lot of these atheists that is in this community, they're not interested in having these conversations. They want comedy. If they want comedy, they're on the wrong channel because I'm going to be doing a lot of videos like this. So, and hopefully I can get people to come on here to talk about about this stuff. Like, for example, are you going to participate in the communism debate? I'm sorry, the communism show?
I don't really plan to, no.
Communism versus the Christian worldview?
Nah,
because
I'm not gonna do that.
Rev News is going to be in here for that one. I've invited Rev. He's going to be here. Shanny might be here.
Where are you guys going to find a communist? And I get that you understand, like you think that all atheists are communists, but where are you going to find an espousing communist?
I'm not looking for an atheist that claims to be a communist. We're going to be talking about communism, how it's affecting our country, and is the United States one day going to be a communistic country?
Oh, okay.
And you'll be surprised what some people's positions are. I know some people actually think that I'm a communist, and I'm not. So, but I'm also ain't all that crazy about capitalism either. So. It's going to be an interesting show. You're going to hear some things you guys don't expect. So, especially for some of my guests, because I heard some of the things that they believe,
Yeah, I'll definitely watch that. That does sound like it would be interesting.
It's going to be really interesting. Really, 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 really interesting. But this is after we go into the historicity and everything and Karl Marx and all of that, and then go into like like all these principles being taught here in the United States, and is it, and will we one day become a communistic country? And then I want to look at the Christian worldview and see whether or not, and to be perfectly honest, let me ask you something. Which do you think is better? A communist country or what God established in the Old Testament? Which one do you think it would be better? Economically.
I mean, economically speaking.
Mm-hmm. Which one do you think would be better? What God established in the Old Testament or what what Karl Marx and those guys proposed?
Like, I don't think that what God, has in the Old Testament would function in today's society. I don't think that it would be realistic to try and implement it.
I'm going to be arguing for the God of the Old Testament, and I'm going to be arguing for the system that he established.
Let me just put it this way.
Mm-hmm.
In an Old Testament style theocracy versus a communist regime, as a pagan, I don't think that those two things are going to look very different to how they play out with me personally. I don't think that that's going to be very good for Rambling Mystic either way. I wouldn't want either.
Well, we're not going to be talking about the execution and all that stuff and whatnot. We're just going to talk about like taking care of the poor, dealing with the rich, and just talking about economics in general. We're not going to be looking at the death penalty, at least for people that practices different religions. I'm going to leave that out. I have a legitimate argument that the system that was in the Old Testament, and I'm going to warn the atheists now, I'm going to be arguing for biblical slavery as being better than what we have today. Now, if people want to come in here and argue against it after they hear it, you know who would be really good for a show like this? Dr. Josh, because I think he's informed about this. And Floyd. I might try to invite Floyd and Dr. Josh in here, because Floyd's very informed about slavery in the Bible, and Floyd at least understands what it is that was established in the Old Testament. He disagrees with it, but he at least understands it. So maybe I will invite a couple of atheists, and then maybe I'll get Monty to come here or something. I don't know. We'll see.
I wish you the best.
But I
of
want
luck
that to be a
with that.
conversation and not a yelling match. So
It'll be interesting to watch. For now, though, I really do got to get going. This has been fun.
Are you going to go to another channel and then laugh at me on the other channel?
Nah. If you find me on another channel doing that, then it ain't me.
No? All right. Remember you said that. Because if I catch you on Miss Parker's channel or somebody else's channel, yeah, I was on G-Man's channel. No,
I might make comments in the section, but like I ain't going to no after show to talk smack or anything like that. That's not me.
Oh, all right. We'll see. All right. So thank you for coming on. Let me address my audience for a little bit, and then I'll wrap the show up. All right, Mr. Rambling. Thank you for coming on.
No problem. See you later.
Check out the channel, the Mystic Rambling YouTube channel, guys. Go subscribe to him. If you like the things that he was talking about, all you gotta do is type in Mystic Rambling, and his channel will show up. Very interesting conversation with Mystic Rambling and hearing the point of view from a pagan, because normally when I have a pagan in the room, we're talking about atheists. Usually Von Helton agreeing with me regarding the atheist community, but it was interesting hearing his point of view on the whole thing. I thought that was really interesting. We're gonna do this a heck of a lot more often and get away from the itchy and scratchy shows that exist on these other channels when they're not talking about nothing but destroying our brain cells. Totally don't want nothing to do with that no more. But if you guys got an idea for a show, you let me know in the comment section. It has to be biblical. It has to have something to do with Christianity. We could talk about the Old Testament God. We could talk about slavery. We could talk about the Sabbath, whatever. Just let me know in the comment section and I'll think about making a show about it. But again, on Friday, if you are a communist, if you are a staunch communist, if you believe that communism is true, if you believe that communism is the best economical system, you need to contact me via email. Just ask your friends in the comment section. They'll tell you how you can get in contact with me. And then, or let me know in the comment section that you want to join the room or whatever. And I will look at your YouTube channel and see whether or not you're serious or not. And I'll let you come in and we can talk about your point of view. But again, I'm going to be arguing from the Old Testament point of view against communism. They are not the same thing. And I'm dying to hear the counter arguments against Old Testament economics as opposed to, and I'm specifically talking about Old Testament economics as opposed to communistic countries or whatever. All right. Be prepared to define your terms and to be able to talk about the pros and the cons of your position if you come in. All right. Anybody have any questions in the comment section? In the live chat? Anybody got any questions? Oh, Gentleman Pioneer wanted the link. Lubis said he's never seen a pagan up front and personal. But all you got to do is find a person who's not a Christian. So Lubis, go look in the mirror. All right. Let me see something here. You'll see a pagan. Let me see something here. All right. So Von Helton didn't make it today because I think he is having internet problems. I'm going to try to get him for the communist show because that one he told me he has a lot of interest in. So I'll try to get him back in. So with that being said, guys, you guys have a good night, and I'll see you guys on either Friday or Saturday when we're doing the next stream.